Elon Musk, and I've got no love lost for this idiot for obvious reasons. Actually, I'm surprised how few people are aware of just how awful Elon Musk is, because when he comes up as a subject, people obviously remember his Sieg Heil, and people, you know, just bring up the fact that he's got a bad track record in terms of fulfilling promises, and his racism, and that's his overt racism towards black people, always seems to get overlooked. His attempt to incite racial violence in the UK tends to get overlooked. His consistent posting and resurfacing of the lies, the IQ lies that were propagated by Richard Lynn, and the false IQ reports of Africa and Africans having lower IQ than the rest of the world. He likes to repost those. He's actually the reason why that has come up in discourse again. And I've done this documentary about that topic.
Elon seems to really like this account. They've gone by a few names on the platform, but they share extremely racist content that argues that black people are innately intellectually inferior beings. We actually settled this debate generations ago, but Elon Musk is helping to bring it back.
Elon Musk is the one who brought that to surface. He's a really vile human being. So I always do enjoy the fact that his life is going to shit right now. So yeah, Tesla stock is going right down. So I came across this video and I thought, yeah, let's dive in, because I found this quite entertaining.
Did its first ever annual review decline. Not a slowdown in growth, not we didn't hit our targets, an actual contraction. The company made less money in 2025 than it did in 2024. And that is not even the most brutal part.
I think the cost of autonomous transport will be so low that you can think of it like individualized mass transit. So yes, and you will be able to buy one. And we expect the cost to be below $30,000.
That's Elon Musk, the rich.
Just really quickly, aren't people bored of Elon Musk's empty promises? It's like he hasn't fulfilled a single promise that he's made since he's been at Tesla. Because I think the cars that were successful, those weren't Elon promises. They were just kind of like stuff that was in the Tesla backlog. But he hasn't done anything. He hasn't done the self-driving. He hasn't done the Tesla cab. The Tesla truck, whatever that crap was called, is a complete disaster that they can't sell. And no one wants to buy his cars, because I think the overriding reason, it's not touched on here, is that no one wants to buy a car from a Nazi. That's really the number one reason why no one wants to buy his cars.
Richest person on the planet, the man who promised you 50% annual growth, the man who said that Tesla wasn't a car company anymore, it was an AI company, a robotics company, a robotaxi company. The man who said the cars didn't matter because the future was autonomous. The cars matter. The cars are 73% off Tesla's revenue, and people have stopped buying them. So here's what the future of Tesla actually looks like. Let's start with the headline numbers. January 28th, 2026, Tesla's Q4 earning report. Full year revenue, $94.8 billion, down from $97.7 billion in 2024. That is the first annual revenue decline in the company's history. And Q4 specifically, net income collapsed 61%, from 2.1 billion to 840 million. 61% in a single quarter. And vehicle deliveries, the number that actually tells you if people want to buy your product.
And just to be clear, that number is going to plummet. It's funny because I was supposed to, or at least my family, we were supposed to buy a Tesla. About a couple of years ago, that was the plan. Before I knew any about this. By the way, I didn't know about me learning that Elon Musk is a racist. Is something that I learned in the last year and a half. I had no idea. People come to me like, how could you not know that? I was like, I didn't know. I swear I didn't know. What, the guy was cool. I actually quite liked him. But his reputation has totally plummeted in the last year and a half. And part of it, I feel, must be manufactured. Part of it, I feel like he's being controlled by outside forces in the Middle East, without saying too much. I do think there's a part of that. But look, the principle is still, I don't really care what's causing him to act like this. I just know that I cannot fund him. I can't participate in his economy. That's the bottom line.
Product dropped by 9% globally. 1.63 million cars, down from 1.79 million. Their second consecutive year off decline. Once is a bad year. Twice in a row tells you where this is headed. But here's what makes this worse. This isn't happening because the EV market is shrinking. The EV market is actually growing. It's growing quite fast, in fact. Tesla is shrinking inside of a growing market. They're losing ground while their competitors gain it. BYD.
And that is just shocking statistic, because it is actually a fact that we all know. Obviously, it doesn't matter really what country you're from. You have more electric vehicles on the road this year than you did last year and the year before. It's only going in one direction. Obviously, we're going to get to the eventual state where people, somewhere far down the line, probably, where people aren't driving petrol or diesel cars anymore. That is on the way, and we know that. So for the vehicle sales, not for vehicle sales to be going down, not just revenue, but vehicle sales, that's the number of vehicles that you're outputting. That means they can't sell electric vehicles in a growing electric vehicle economy. That's hilarious. They can't sell them. There's a price to pay for being a racist idiot. And Elon Musk is paying it. I have a BYD now, and I'm just waiting for the Chinese CEO to be. I'm just waiting for that to happen, and then my whole life will crumble. But this is it's 2026, man. It's only a matter of time, isn't it?
The Chinese automaker just overtook Tesla as the world's largest EV manufacturer. 2.26 million vehicles in 2025. Tesla sold 1.63 million. That gap is going to widen even further, and I'll explain why in just a moment. For now, let's talk about Europe, because Europe is where you can see the future, and the future is ugly. Full year.
Real quick pause there. We'll come into that in a second. But Nerd Large, same here. If you see people in the Tesla showroom or just generally around like my gym, etc., people who drive Teslas, yeah, it tends to be Asian community, man. They don't well, we don't expect them to show solidarity to the black community because they're more racist than the whites most of the time. If I'm going to be totally honest with you, Asian community is incredibly racist. But even just showing solidarity for the fact that this guy's shown himself to be an all-round nasty individual, you know, his support for the far right, his funding of the Reform Party in the UK, his attempt to incite racial violence in the UK, his backing of Nazi parties in Germany. Surely that will be enough to kind of like say, I don't want to drive one of these. I don't want to give this guy any money. But yeah, you're right. Asian community don't seem to give a crap. Go figure. So Europe, they ain't playing. Check this out.
Year 2025, Tesla sales dropped 28% across Europe in a market where EV sales grew 27%. Let me say that again. The European EV market expanded by more than a quarter. Tesla's sales collapsed by more than a quarter. That is catastrophic. In Germany, Tesla's former growth engine in Europe, the country where they built a gigafactory, sales crashed 48%, nearly in half, from 37,500 vehicles to a little over 19,000. And
that's unit sales dropping there, not just revenue, guys, to be clear. They're selling half as many units in Germany. I don't know what he was expecting, by the way. I don't understand why he's still CEO of that company. Any sensible company would have stripped him of that title the moment he seek-hired. But this is a part of the attempt to normalize extreme racism. That seems to be the name of the game. This is, by the way, this Told Tourette's episode falls into that bank as well. It's this normalization of the most extreme and vile racism. This is why I'm just seeing it as all different parts, different pieces in the same puzzle, where they're just trying to normalize the most vile racist behavior. Don't know what's going on in this world at the moment. I wish I could tell you what the end game was. I don't know what's going on, but it's just, yeah.
And here's the thing that should terrify Tesla's investors. Compared to Tesla's peak in Germany in 2022, they're down 72%. Almost 3/4 of their German market gone in just 3 years. France, down 38%. Sweden, down 67%. Belgium, down 53%.
He's Swedish. They don't play. They don't play that. I do generally like Swedes, and actually as a nation, I think they're pretty cool. They ain't gonna play that Nazi stuff, man.
Only European market where Tesla grew was Norway. And that is because Norway is changing its EV incentives in 2026 to exclude expensive vehicles. So everyone rushed to buy before the deadline. That demand is what pulled it forward. It's not coming back. Norway will crater for Tesla in 2026. This is what brand collapse looks like. So, why is this happening? Well, it's not hard to imagine why. There are 3 broad reasons, and none of them are going to go away.
Let's see if he can pull out the fact that Elon Musk is a racist as one of these reasons. I'd like to see that. Let's see.
First, the cars are old. The Model S launched in 2012, the Model X in 2015, the Model 3 in 2017.
It's funny, the Model S is the best car they've made. They haven't topped it. And this is where I started to learn that Elon Musk is full of shit, because when you think about it, their cars just seem to be getting progressively worse. And all of these companies are doing progressively worse. And you just realize this guy is just hot air. He doesn't deliver on anything that he says. He makes all of these wild claims and promises about what he's going to deliver. But if you look at his track record, it's absolutely atrocious. I don't really get why I thought this guy had any minerals. He doesn't have any minerals whatsoever.
The Model Y in 2020. Tesla has been selling the same basic vehicles for years, while competitors have flooded the market with newer, cheaper, often better alternatives. There are now over 150 EV models on sale in Europe. 50 more are coming in 2026. Tesla's lineup looks dated, because it is dated. Second, they cancelled the cheapest car. For years, Musk promised a 25,000 Tesla, a mass market vehicle that would bring EVs to everyone. The car was supposed to be Tesla's second growth wave, and it doesn't exist. Musk killed it to focus on robotaxis instead. So while BYD sells affordable EVs to hundreds of millions of potential customers across Asia, Europe, and South America, Tesla is stuck selling premium vehicles to a shrinking pool of buyers who can afford them. In a cost...
I'll be honest with you, if Tesla didn't have Elon Musk at their helm, and he wasn't doing this weird, hyper racist stuff so constantly, I don't think they'd have any trouble selling their cars, even their luxury cars. I think people will find money for it. Tesla is still the premium brand. They in terms of the performance that you get out of cars like the S and the X, even like top supercar companies are struggling to replicate the kind of performance that those cars give in terms of electric vehicles. So they're still at the top. They still are the premium brand, but the bottom line is, who wants to be associated? Who wants to drive a Tesla? There's a YouTube content creator called something Aussie. I can't remember, but he's really funny. He's got that Australian accent, and he just does reaction to cars, kind of like blooper kind of videos. So he does reactions, and they're really funny because he's got a really funny Australian accent. I can't remember what his name, something Aussie. Put it in the chat if you know what I'm talking about. But he had a Tesla and he sold it, you know, as soon as Elon Musk got caught doing that C car. And I respect that. I respect that, because I know, just like Nerd Large said, there's a lot of people who carry on buying them. And also on top of that, there's a lot of people who just don't care. There's a lot of people who just don't care. They're more concerned about their creature comforts than actually standing on business and saying, I don't want to be associated with this brand. So I always got to respect people that actually take a, you know, discomfort and inconvenience themselves to make a stand for something, to have, you know, to show some integrity. It's quite rare in this world, in this day and age.
Of living crisis. And third, as you'll know, this is the big one, Elon Musk has become toxic. I need to show you the numbers. These are from Brand Finance, released January 27th, 2026. Tesla brand value in January 2023, 66.2 billion. The next year, 58.3 billion. The next year, 43 billion. And 2026, 27.6 billion. That's a decline of 15.4 billion in a single year. 36% of their brand value evaporated. Third consecutive year of decline. They've lost more than half their brand value since 2023. The recommendation score in the US, how likely customers are to recommend Tesla to others, has dropped from 8.2 out of 10 in 2023 to 4 out of 10 now. This is well past brand trouble. This is freefall. The axiom.
So it's interesting because we have almost every leading indicator suggesting the fact that the Tesla brand is heading for a crash. We're seeing a company here that has a almost total inability to generate revenue through its main means of generating revenue, which is car sales. We're seeing clear decline in car sales, decline in customer experience, and what we're not seeing is any reaction, which is this is the part that I find very peculiar. This has been happening in Tesla now for well over a year. Obviously, he's shown trends over the last couple of years, but certainly, you know, this is peaked in 2025 since he kind of like got very heavily involved in the American political scene. And the lack of reaction, the entire lack of reaction, is bizarre. It doesn't make any sense. You wouldn't, for such a large organization to not have taken executive action at this stage. I find bizarre. How hard would it be to disconnect this guy from the brand? He's a, you know, it doesn't make any sense to me. That's why I feel like there's something more layered going on here that we're probably not privy to.
Harris poll, which ranks corporate reputation, shows Tesla dropping from 8th place in 2021 to 95th place in 2025, out of 100 companies. They now rank below Temu, below TikTok. Even Fox is rated higher. According to an EV Intelligence Report survey of over 3,000 US customers, 27% of Americans have a positive view of Tesla. 37% have a negative view. The company has more...
27% that have a positive view of Tesla are probably all MAGA. And Trump was out there like, hey, buy a Tesla. So it's a pity votes. Those shouldn't even count that 27%. This is a guy with realistically a 0% approval rating. If you take away the MAGA crowd that don't have a choice but to support him.
Haters than fans. In Germany, remember the country where Tesla built a factory, 60% of consumers now have a negative view of the brand. Only 9% have a positive view. There is no recovering a market where 6 out of 10 people actively dislike you. So why has it become like this? Well, you know why.
I found that when I get involved in politics, it ends up badly.
Don't you just want to slap his face? I know I've been touting a lot of abuse on this, as in like, well, do you blame me, man? Do you really blame me?
So then I'm like, probably shouldn't do that. I should do less of that, is my...
Elon Musk spent 2025 as a political...
And Elon Musk is a dithering moron as well. That's another thing that I've realized. And maybe I didn't pick up on it because he was doing all of these seemingly ingenious things. But having had the displeasure of listening to this guy talk in live interviews so many times over the last year and a half, I've realized this guy is a bumbling idiot. He has nothing of quality to say. None of his thoughts are, I think he says things and he thinks, wow, that was really inspirational and exciting, and they've never heard anything like that. And he's just said the most mundane and ordinary thing that a teenager could have cooked up. He's not even in the slightest bit brilliant. He really is a very media. He's the picture of white male mediocrity. Where you have these mediocre white males who manage to ascend to the highest helms of organizations based purely on either legacy wealth or on the merit of them being a white male. Yeah, I'm white and I'm a male, so therefore I deserve to be in this position irrespective of how incompetent I am. That's that he's a picture of that. He's like a poster boy for that kind of mediocrity that is responsible for plummeting the world into the situation that it is right now. If you look at all the people who are turning this world into this shithole that it's becoming, it's mediocre white males, people who don't deserve to be in the positions that they're in. You know, Epstein listers.
Political figure. He ran Doge, costing the US billions as it gutted the Federal Emergency Management Agency, Consumer Financial Protection, and the Agency for Intentional Development. He endorsed the AfD, Germany's far-right party. He turned himself into one of the most polarizing figures on the planet. And it turns out that when you spend your days posting bullshit on your social media platform, alienating half of your potential customer base, endorsing extremist politicians, and inserting yourself into every cultural war you can find, people stop wanting to buy your cards.
I've spoken ad nauseam about the fact as well, his blatant and continual foreign interfering, tampering of sovereign nations. He tampers in the UK elect. I thought that was illegal. I've mentioned that so many times. We all agreed, or at least we'd been sold the idea that outside people who are not residents in your nation tampering in your politics, funding politicians and pushing, you know, political agendas, that's illegal. Yes, anyone who is the recipient of such, you know, funds from outside the nation is breaking the law. Apparently there's no law when it comes to Elon Musk. He openly funds political parties. This is an individual, not a nation. This is an individual openly funding, you know, opposition parties in several nations. And if he comes to the UK, he should be arrested. I've said that many, many times, not just for the interfering, but also trying to incite a riot in the UK. He did that. And he is someone who has the power, you know, with a bit more of a push. He almost did incite a riot, by the way. The UK was very much teetering on the edge of having a riot when he made those inflammatory statements. But luckily, all of those far-right white nationalists in the UK are, excuse my French, pussy. So when they did come out and forced to start, it was not easy to beat. You know, it wasn't very difficult to beat them back because a lot of them are a lot more mouth than action, you know. But this is the problem with people like Elon Musk, you know.
Particularly when your cars cost $40,000 or more. You're not an impulse purchase, you're a considered decision. And a lot of people are considering whether they want to be seen in a Tesla anymore.
So anyway, that's I think that's that topic done. I just wanted to share that with you. Yeah, a bit seeing Elon Musk's company crash and burn. If you want to check out this full video, if you want to search for it, it's called Data is Brutal, Tesla is So Effed by Stephen Woodford. He's actually got a decent channel. He's got another channel called, I think, Rationality Rules, which I did get a bit bored of his videos on that because they felt a bit ChatGPT scripted, if I'm going to be totally honest. But I like this channel because I feel like he's more autonomous of the discussions that take place on this channel. And these ones don't feel as scripted, so I quite like them. So yeah, I think he's a relatively new kind of like YouTuber like myself, but yeah, he's doing very well. So check him out if you want to.
If you knew what you